When we think of fairy tales, we often imagine cheerful songs, happy endings, and magical kingdoms where good always triumphs over evil. But cinema has a strange way of twisting those childhood stories into something far darker, stranger, and infinitely more fascinating. Beneath the sparkle of fairy dust lies a world of obsession, madness, and tragedy. Today, we're diving into the weirdest fairy tale adaptations ever made, haunting reimaginings that turned innocence into terror and magic into something uncomfortably human. Ten. Snow White, A Tale of Terror, 1997. Far removed from the innocence of Disney's classic, Snow White, A Tale of Terror reimagines the iconic fairy tale as a gothic horror filled with jealousy, blood, and black magic. Sigourney Weaver delivers a chilling performance as Lady Claudia, the stepmother whose descent into madness mirrors her obsession with beauty and power. The familiar story beats remain: the mirror, the poisoned apple, the dwarves, but everything is drenched in medieval grime and psychological torment. This version of Snow White feels more like a tragic ghost story than a children's tale. It explores the primal fears behind vanity and death, showing how envy can corrode even the purest soul. The visuals are moody and claustrophobic, turning the enchanted forest into a place of dread and decay. In this world, there are no songs or happily ever afters, only survival.
Be afraid. I'll take care of you.
9. Beauty and the Beast, 1978. Forget the romantic elegance you remember from other versions. Jure Hertz's Beauty and the Beast is something else entirely. This Czech adaptation transforms the fable into a fever dream of Baroque horror and sensuality, drenched in surreal imagery and unsettling atmosphere. The Beast isn't just cursed, he's grotesque, almost monstrous, surrounded by a decaying castle that feels alive with dark enchantment. Every frame feels like a nightmare painted in candlelight, haunting, erotic, and deeply psychological. Instead of a simple story about love conquering ugliness, it becomes a meditation on desire, fear, and the human tendency to romanticize the monstrous. Hertz's direction blurs the line between beauty and horror so completely that by the end, you're not sure which one is more terrifying. Eight. Little Red Riding Hood, 1962. This early Eastern European take on Little Red Riding Hood is nothing like the sanitized versions told to children. Shot with expressionistic style and strange theatrical sets, the film turns the familiar tale into an unsettling moral allegory about innocence, temptation, and the lurking dangers of trust. The wolf here is not just a beast, he's a symbol of seduction and predation, cloaked in human mannerisms that make the story deeply uncomfortable. The cinematography is filled with eerie close-ups and dreamlike colors that feel almost hypnotic. It's as if you're watching a fable unfold inside a child's nightmare, where every character knows something you don't, and every smile hides something sinister. This is Little Red Riding Hood not as a bedtime story, but as a haunting lesson about what lurks behind the mask of civility.
Großmutter, was hast du denn für einen schrecklich großen Mund?
Besser.
7. Sleepy Hollow, 1999. Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow takes Washington Irving's short story and transforms it into a lavish Gothic fairy tale dripping with atmosphere. Johnny Depp's Ichabod Crane is no longer just a cowardly teacher, but an eccentric investigator armed with science and skepticism, facing off against a world of superstition and fear. The Headless Horseman, played with silent menace by Christopher Walken, becomes an icon of death itself. What makes Sleepy Hollow so strange is the tone, a perfect marriage of macabre humor, haunting beauty, and brutal violence. The fog-drenched forests, twisted trees, and eerie pumpkin-lit nights feel like a Halloween dream brought to life. It's romantic, grotesque, and unmistakably Burton, a film that proves even the most familiar legends can be reborn through the eyes of a visionary. Six. The Brothers Grimm, 2005. Terry Gilliam's The Brothers Grimm is a chaotic blend of adventure, dark fantasy, and absurd humor, the kind of strange storytelling only Gilliam could pull off. Instead of simply adapting fairy tales, he places the famous Grimm brothers inside one, turning them into con artists who investigate haunted events that suddenly start turning real. The film dances between satire and sincerity, packed with grotesque imagery, wicked witches, and mechanical fairy tale contraptions. Every scene feels handcrafted from nightmares and folklore. Beneath its bizarre energy lies a love letter to the very idea of storytelling, to the wild, uncontrollable imagination that made fairy tales endure for centuries. Five. The Curse of Sleeping Beauty, 2016. This modern reimagining of Sleeping Beauty takes the beloved tale and twists it into a supernatural Gothic mystery. The film follows Thomas, a man cursed by strange dreams of a sleeping princess who inherits a decaying estate hiding ancient secrets. When he finally uncovers the truth, the curse becomes terrifyingly real. The film blends fantasy with horror, turning the enchanted sleep into something sinister and infectious. The imagery is darkly beautiful: ornate halls, haunting mannequins, and spectral figures that feel like echoes of forgotten magic. While the story borrows from the classic fairy tale, it transforms it into something far stranger, a surreal descent into inherited guilt and waking nightmares. Four. Hansel and Gretel, 1987. Canon Films' Hansel and Gretel may look like a children's movie at first glance, but it carries an odd, unsettling charm. The story of two lost siblings and a candy-coated witch's house becomes a mix of whimsy and weird horror. The witch herself is both ridiculous and genuinely creepy, her lair filled with grotesque details that make it feel more like a fever dream than a fairy tale. There's a strangeness to its tone, part musical, part nightmare, that makes it impossible to categorize. Even its low-budget sets seem to enhance the feeling of being trapped in a world built by imagination gone wrong. For a story so familiar, it's remarkable how Hansel and Gretel manages to feel like you're watching something you shouldn't be. Childlike yet disturbingly adult.
And 9 is 1, and 10 is none, and 7 is nil, what I will. And thus
3. Hansel and Gretel, 2002. Gary J. Tunnicliffe's Hansel and Gretel reimagines the classic Grimm tale as a dark, twisted journey that's far from the familiar children's story. The film follows the titular siblings as they stumble into a sinister forest where danger lurks behind every tree. Unlike traditional adaptations, this version emphasizes suspense and psychological tension, mixing gothic visuals with moments of grotesque horror. The witch's lair is a chilling labyrinth of shadows, traps, and eerie enchantments, creating an atmosphere of constant unease. The film excels at turning familiar motifs, candy houses, innocent wanderings, and the archetypal witch, into elements of genuine terror. Hansel and Gretel are not simply clever children, they are survivors, constantly tested by the twisted challenges around them. Tunnicliffe's direction highlights the tension between innocence and corruption, and the movie's dark, brooding cinematography enhances its unsettling fairy tale aura. It's a film that will linger in your mind, proving that even the most beloved stories can be reinterpreted in hauntingly strange ways.
Her what?
My disguise!
2. The Adventures of Pinocchio, 1996. Martin Landau and Jonathan Taylor Thomas star in this strangely melancholy take on Pinocchio, a film that mixes live action with early CGI in ways that are both fascinating and unsettling. It tells the familiar story of a wooden boy yearning to be real, but its tone is far more tragic than magical. The uncanny look of the puppet, the eerie score, and the darker emotional undertones turn this adaptation into something strangely off-kilter. It's not horror, but it feels haunted by loss, loneliness, and the fear of never belonging. Beneath the family-friendly surface lies an aching reflection on humanity's longing for transformation. One, The Hunchback of Notre, 1997. While Disney's adaptation was grand and musical, this version leans fully into the gothic despair of Victor Hugo's original story. Produced by Golden Films, this lesser-known adaptation retains the tragic heart of Quasimodo's tale, the deformity, the isolation, and the cruelty of society. What makes it strange is its tone, caught between children's entertainment and adult tragedy. The animation feels uncanny, and the mood shifts from melancholy to madness. Despite its flaws, it stands as a bizarre yet earnest attempt to retell one of literature's darkest fairy tales through the lens of animation. It reminds us that fairy tales were never truly meant for children. They were mirrors of the human soul, reflecting beauty and horror in equal measure. If you enjoyed this journey into the hidden corners of cinema, don't forget to hit the like button, leave a comment sharing your thoughts, and most importantly, subscribe to Cinemira for more strange, forgotten, and fascinating films. Your support keeps this adventure alive. And trust me, there's so much more to discover together.